Congo got $0 back. The dictator's family got the vault. This man was accused of stealing more money than some entire countries earn in a year. Swiss newspapers once put the number at $4 billion. Switzerland could only ever find a fraction of it. And 12 years later, a Swiss court didn't send what was left to the people it was stolen from. It sent it to his children. His name was Mobutu Sese Seko. For 32 years, he ruled a country called Zaire, what we now call the Democratic Republic of Congo. And for most of those 32 years, he was accused of treating its national treasury like a personal bank account. While Zaire's roads crumbled and its people struggled through poverty, Mobutu built a lifestyle most heads of state couldn't dream of. And the money, prosecutors and journalists alleged, kept flowing into one place, Switzerland. At the height of the scandal, Swiss newspapers estimated his hidden fortune there at as much as $4 billion. $4 billion. Alleged. Never proven in full because that was the entire point of where he put it. In 1997, Mobutu was overthrown. Within weeks, he was dead, in exile in Morocco. And the new government in Kinshasa did something that should have been simple. They asked Switzerland to freeze his accounts and send the money home. Switzerland froze what it could find. But here's the first gut punch. Out of an alleged $4 billion, Swiss authorities could only actually locate and freeze around 10 million Swiss francs. Less than 1% of the rumor. The rest had either never existed at that scale, or had already vanished into a system built for exactly that kind of disappearing act. Congo held on anyway. For 12 straight years, lawyers fought in Swiss courts to get even that 10 million back. A separate villa Mobutu owned on Lake Geneva was auctioned off in 2001. But the core frozen millions stayed locked in legal limbo, year after year, while the country he'd ruled remained one of the poorest on earth. Then, in 2009, a Swiss federal court made its final ruling, not in favor of Congo. The court decided the case had simply gone on too long. The statute of limitations had expired, and ordered the remaining frozen millions released, not to the Congolese people, to Mobutu's own heirs. Even Switzerland's own foreign ministry seemed uneasy about it. An official there would later say that everyone involved assumed the money had been stolen, and that sending it back to the family didn't feel right either. They said it anyway. So here's where that leaves us. A nation that was allegedly looted for billions walked away with nothing it could prove and nothing it could keep. And a family whose fortune was built on suspicion the courts themselves admitted they believed, got to keep what was left. Switzerland calls itself neutral. For the Congo, neutral looked a lot like empty-handed. Mobutu wasn't an isolated case. He was one entry in a very long list. Over the past 30 years, Switzerland has frozen and eventually returned close to 2 billion Swiss francs in stolen state funds. Not from one dictator, from a roster of them. Marcos, Abacha, Montesinos, Duvalier, Ben Ali, Mubarak, Salinas, different continents, different decades, different currencies stolen from different people. Same destination every time. Switzerland built its entire identity on staying out of it. Neutral in 2 world wars. Home to the Red Cross. The country that doesn't pick sides. But a bank account doesn't ask whose war you started, or whose treasury you emptied to fight it. Switzerland never picked a side in the wars. It just quietly opened a door for whoever won. To understand why the door was open, you have to go back to 1934. That year, Switzerland passed a banking secrecy law. The original goal was almost sympathetic, protecting ordinary depositors, many of them Jewish families in Nazi Germany, from having their savings tracked down and seized. For decades, that law worked exactly as written. Client information stayed locked. No questions asked about where money came from, only that it arrived. By the time men like Mobutu, Marcos, and Abacha came looking for somewhere to put stolen state fortunes, the mechanism built to protect frightened families had quietly become something else entirely. A law meant to hide people from tyrants ended up hiding tyrants from everyone else. It took decades of scandal to force a fix. Marcos, then Abacha, then Mobutu's own case, dragging on for 12 years with barely any resolution. Each one chipped away at Switzerland's image as the world's safest, quietest place to bank. Eventually, lawmakers passed something new, a law built specifically to freeze and confiscate assets belonging to what regulators now call politically exposed persons. The kind of people who run a country and drain it at the same time. Here's the actual shift. Under the new rules, the account holder has to prove their money is clean, not the country trying to get it back. For 70 years, silence had been the default setting. This was the first time the law asked the vault to explain itself. Here's how the new rules actually play out. Rule 1. When a leader falls, Switzerland can move fast. The Arab Spring. Regimes collapsing in weeks. And within days, Swiss authorities froze close to 1 billion francs tied to the men who used to run those countries. Around 700 million tied to Hosni Mubarak and his circle in Egypt. Another 60 million tied to Tunisia's Ben Ali. More still connected to Gaddafi's Libya. That's the fast part. Freezing takes days. Getting the money out again. That's rule 2. And Marcos is where you see it clearest. The Philippines asked Switzerland to freeze his accounts back in 1986, the same year he fled the country. Switzerland said yes almost immediately. Then it took over a decade of court battles before hundreds of millions actually reached Manila. Freezing a dictator's money is easy. Letting go of it never seems to be. Now here's the part that should really bother you. Sani Abacha ruled Nigeria for 5 years. In that time, prosecutors say he and his network moved hundreds of millions of dollars into Swiss accounts. Switzerland eventually agreed to send a portion of it back. But the family didn't walk away empty. As part of the settlement, Abacha's own relatives were allowed to keep a share of the money. Negotiated, signed off, legal. Sit with that for a second. The people accused of helping hide stolen state funds got to keep some of it, as a condition of giving the rest back. And Mobutu's case, not a glitch in the system, it's what the system tends to produce. A leader loots a country. The money lands in Switzerland. Decades pass. Lawyers argue. And when it's finally resolved, the country that was robbed gets a fraction, sometimes nothing, while the family of the man who robbed it negotiates its way to keeping a peace. That's not a broken system failing by accident. That's a system working the way it was built to work. It doesn't end there, though, and it shouldn't. Switzerland eventually built something new, a law aimed directly at closing the gap these cases kept exposing. Under it, authorities can freeze a politically exposed person's assets faster and keep them frozen longer, without waiting on a foreign court to prove every last detail. Here's the real shift. The account holder now has to prove their money is clean, not the other way around. Is it perfect? No. Cases still drag. Families still negotiate. Money still gets lost in the years between a freeze and a return. But for the first time, silence stopped being the safest strategy. Someone finally started asking the vault to talk. Switzerland spent a century building a reputation. Neutral, discreet, safe. But reputation and behavior aren't the same thing. You find out what someone actually values by watching what they protect when nobody's checking, not by reading their name on a flag. That's true for a country, It's true for a bank. Honestly, it's true for people too. If you want to see what's really sitting behind another country's postcard image, there's one about Dubai's skyline and who's actually stuck holding it up. It's right there.